Being prepared, Dr. Parker, could you address some common mistakes and myths surrounding gout management? What misconceptions do you think are most important to address, and how can people avoid these pitfalls?
Sure. Let me go through them kind of in the order in which I think it can occur in somebody's journey. First, at the very beginning, if they know they have gout, most people show up in my office thinking, oh, I can fix this with diet alone. Wrong. That's not true. Regarding other myths that Dr. Edwards and Gary mentioned, if you're a person with gout, many people, even sometimes themselves, think, oh, I did this to myself. This was my fault. I drank beer. I ate shrimp or whatever. No, Dr. Edwards already mentioned there's lots of other things that have to happen before you join the club, as Gary says. Then once therapy is implemented, meaning say you're on allopurinol or febuxostat or, some pill to help you control uric acid, and you're being moderate with your diet, and people start thinking, oh, I couldn't flare now. When in fact, you could flare even if your uric acid is in that target range until all those crystals are gone, like Dr. Edwards just said. When those are depleted, now you're really protected. But until that occurs, you could flare. So you have to have your flare medicine ready to go. Next, and this is one of the most common I see the doctors say, this is their mistake. They'll say, oh, if you have a flare up with your gout, stop taking your allopurinol, take your anti-inflammatory. When the flare-up's gone, restart your allopurinol. And as Dr. Edwards just mentioned, it's those fluctuations that get people into trouble. So you don't need to be stopping and starting your medicines right now, right? You still want to get to that consistency, right? So don't do that. Right? Don't do that. I think those are the big ones. The
Yeah,
last thing I'll say on
that's a very common mistake that
good
health practitioners push,
exactly.
and it's just exactly the wrong thing to do. Once you get started on a urate lowering therapy like allopurinol or febuxostat,
Hmm.
you're on it. There's no reason that even the surgeons can come up with it. They might be taking it as surgery, but they don't need to stop that medicine for anything. So, yeah.
That's a huge one. Thank you for amplifying that. There's just
Yeah.
no good reason to stop the medicine. And I think last, in terms of myths that I'll cover that are very, very common, is I realize that there's all kinds of anecdotes about things they could put in their diet to help. People want to have cherry juice and turmeric and sleep under a pyramid and swirl around some crystals. And I say, fine, go ahead. But those things by themselves are not going to be adequate to control that uric acid consistently, durably, and keep it in that target range unless you have some medicine help, because you can't replace your genetics. As Dr. Edwards said more than once, there's genetic stuff at play here and you can't control that, right? So advised, the cherry juice and all those things are not going to get you where you want to be by themselves.
I know we see a lot of cherry juice discussion in our Facebook groups, and that's a very common question we receive.